Hey, Daisy here. So, like the graphic said, we're getting close here. So, carbon tax has been affecting Canadians already drastically from coast to coast. You know, the price of fuel, the price of transportation, it's affecting everyone, and it is set to go up again on April 1st. So, just in a number of days. Um, and along with that, just make sure that's right. Yeah, okay, perfect. There's also been now, many of you will have seen, there's been a massive swell of support and talk about a national carbon tax protest to coincide with the massive increase of the carbon tax. So I'm happy to be joined tonight. We'll bring him in here by, there we go, by Sam Field. So Sam, I have had the pleasure of meeting and I know quite well, Nova Scotian. Yes, lives on a farm, business owner. Maybe we'll start, Sam, just with a little bit about you. You can tell us who you are or whatever, and then we'll get into the details of what you have planned.
Sounds great, buddy. Good
Yeah,
to see
good
your
to see
face
you.
again, my friend.
Yeah. You too, man.
Thanks for keeping up the battle of trying to spread the truth as fast as we can and as best we can with what we got. But
100.
yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Sam. My name is Sam Field, and I live in the Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia. I am a proud father and business owner, and we have a lovely farm here. But like I was telling Chris, I said my wife's really the powerhouse in the farm. I'm just a support team. But the I have a little gas station garage convenience store, and I'm a licensed technician and a provincial inspector. And I've spent a lot of time paying attention to what's been going on lately. As a mechanic, I like to pay attention to the whole issue and see if we can't come to a resolution of the problem and get everybody back on their way as fast as possible. And I've had the privilege of living across Canada. I spent 17 years out in British Columbia. I was born and raised in Southern Ontario, so I'm very fortunate that I've seen this beautiful country, and I know a lot of the people are real solid, and that's what leads me here tonight. I see the hurt and I see the harm that's going on right now. My customers every single day, all of them, have that same look in their eye of how am I gonna continue on at this rate? The stories that they're reaching out and telling me, it's actually it's getting too much to take without trying to do something. And in my way, that this came across the internet, and I caught wind of people saying, enough's enough, and we've got to do something. And listening to the media with our conservative politician, preaching to us that something's got to give, and the common sense conservatives, and they have a recipe for it, and I'm just listening to the words coming out of his mouth, and I'm like, it's not something. It shouldn't be a political talking point. It should be action is what absolutely has to happen, because by the time it comes down to an election or a vote, it's going to be too late for a lot of people. And I'm seeing the harm right here. Unfortunately, the Maritimes have always been hit a little harder when it comes to the financial sector, and these people are petrified, and so am I, because we don't have much left. And
Yeah, you're already struggling out there to begin with, and the costs and the inflation. That it's people will say they see the price of gas, which you would see obviously at your shop, but I mean it doesn't stop there, right? I mean farmers need to fuel their vehicles. They need heat for their barns, and you need to dry grain. Then you need to transport this stuff. These costs, these trickle down costs are affecting everything. And I mean anyone who takes a trip to the grocery store can see that this is having an effect. Basically on everything. And like you say, our government, the conservatives are coming out talking. Yes, we need to do something. It only takes action. We have, a few parties that are basically holding us hostage. No matter what the one opposition party says, we have parties voting to increase this tax that's already burdening Canadians so hard. April 1st, they're also giving themselves a raise. So as Canadians struggle, they're raising taxes and giving themselves raises, it's going to take Canadians and some type of grassroots movement. It seems like we're maybe getting here
That's
to
right,
let these
man.
people know that we've had enough.
Exactly. Uh and it is grassroots, and that's the whole thing, you know. The unfortunate truth is a lot of people have lost faith in the parliamentary system. um we actually have had meetings with our municipal government and our members of parliament, and they've heard our voices, and you know, they are very sympathetic, and the reality is it doesn't really matter on the municipal scale or the provincial scale. Like, this is bigger than all that. It's really driven by, you know, the financial sector. They know numbers the best. So, I mean, I understand why they may not want to lose out on this revenue that they've been generating off the people for so long. And in the end, you know, money is a very powerful source, but the people are far more powerful than that. And you know, I do have other, you know, there's been a lot of people that have reached out to me, really proud that I am a part of this, because they know I have a real good stance to speak to people, and I can maintain calm. And the truth is they've just said, hey, we actually can't be with you, and because they're emotionally torn, and they're struggling. And they some of them have a very short fuse. And in respect to our code of conduct, they are gracefully tapping out. And you know, and they've agreed that they will sit and they will talk about it, and they will go out, and they'll be active in the communities, just talking about what the good people are doing. And that's a shame that somebody would have, you know, hatred for their government, or hatred for a prime minister. There's like so much, like, these people are, they're good people, they're caring, and all of a sudden they have this rage, or this fear, or this hatred, or whatever it may be, in them, and it's all stewed upon because of the stressors put on us by these governments. um
Yeah,
so
and I can, that stress. Can you still hear me? Okay, I lost my earbud.
I can, yeah, you're
Yeah,
all right.
okay. That stress I can kind of relate a little bit, when after the convoy and that. I mean, I was one of those people who was hurt and emotional, and thank goodness that I've connected with such great people since. And I've kind of grown and processed through some of that trauma, and learned how to channel this stuff into a more productive and useful way. And like you said, when I heard that you were going to be participating and on board here, helping spread this message, I was thrilled. I've had a chance to spend quite a bit of time with you. Last summer in particular, it was great to be able to be a guest out at your place. And we've seen you in action before, and your actions, they speak for themselves. So really glad to have like a calm head and someone I respect. It's very
Thanks,
good
buddy.
to have you on board.
No, I'm on it. I'm genuinely proud of my country, and my community, and my friends. The social networking that I've been fortunate to do since Ottawa, and you know, we all have our strengths, and you know, this country is prime example of togetherness. You know, we are inclusive. This is 100% about unity. They've painted these pictures of us that are completely false. We are the one of the biggest. I imagine we are the most, you know, multicultural country,
Yeah,
because I mean, you travel around, and it doesn't take you long to see that the Canadian pride is not you know, your lumberjack.
yeah,
There is a lot to do with
there's
Canada right now,
yeah,
and everybody's got a heart. And right now, the only thing that's tarnishing our hearts, and not wanting, or not allowing these people to shed the love, is the stress, and this division that is just being chiseled on us, or hammered on us so hard. And you know, this may not be the fix of all our problems, but this is the only thing I could come up with that can genuinely help every single household right away. Like, and people are like, they're not going to change it. You're dealing with a narcissist. I understand that. I do. Like, I just want the people to get together and feel the love of the togetherness and restore some hope in our
Yeah,
country, and see if we can, rebuild these bridges that have been just destroyed by false narratives, and this tax. It's theft. I mean,
yeah,
everybody that knows about it, like the fact that it's a tax on a tax and that they ushered it through. Like, these are the people that are supposed to be the best of the best. That's why they got elected. That's why they're in these positions. They are supposed to be A plus on the ball, and they're filling us full of BS.
yeah.
And like, how much longer is the Canadian taxpayer supposed to, you know, carry on supporting this illegal action
Well,
without
and we can't,
penalty?
right? It's completely unsustainable. The rapid increase in costs on everyone and the strain it's putting on people financially and then emotionally and on their relationships, their families is we see it everywhere, and it's definitely not sustainable. And then we have the government coming out at the same time. They take our money and then they give us a little handout back, and they have the gall to tell us that we're better off. It's absolutely absurd. They gaslight us while they do it. It's quite the thing to watch. Um, and you hit on some good points there. I think about that inclusivity term is thrown around so often, or diversity, but this truly is a diverse group of Canadians from all walks of life, from every part of the country, every type of person coming together because they're all suffering. They're all looking for
Absolutely.
the same thing, for relief and for hope. And like you say, perhaps things don't change on a day, but when we get out with our fellow Canadians and we network and we communicate and we talk and we show that we can get along, we show that we can organize, we can do so in a peaceful, loving way, then we really show some of the power that we have. And we've networked well. It seems from the growth, I know, I think it was over 150,000 last time I checked the page, grew in a couple of weeks. It's tagged in the description here, I think. That's just an indication of the grassroots support that this kind of initiative has, and that it's bringing in people from outside the greater freedom movement, if you want to call that.
Absolutely. And the shedding the light on the censorship in which we're all under, like what the control that they're trying to take on our voice, is the muzzle in which we all have. Like, I have people that they're customers of mine, or I'm customers of theirs, that when we first started this, I think we're 20 days, 21 days now into this. It's been a while that since I made my first announcement of joining on, and trying to, provide a safe location for us to exercise our rights to protest. And, they messaged me today. Sam, just saw your message. I'm like,
Yeah,
which one? Like, I've been on 5 different podcasts, and we're streaming, and there's a group, and we're on trying to hit all platforms, and they're like, no, man, haven't heard boo of you. And I was like, well, and that's pathetic, and that's another thing that we should be addressing. But
yeah. The
right
censorship
now,
is real.
it is. Censorship is very real, and it's pathetic. Like,
Yeah,
the fact that you guys are so scared of the people that are paying your way, finding out the greasy stuff you're doing.
yeah.
That's pathetic. That's the only word for it. And like I said,
And
with the law enforcement, lack of involvement in this, I've reached out. I worked for the Department of Transport. I know the proper procedures to set up for lane closure. We've tried diligently. We've tried to, we've ordered porta potties. No, they're not allowed. The hurdles in which they're putting in front of us, the fear mongering, the threats.
yeah,
It's heartbreaking that people are going out of their way to express genuine care for one another, because they're watching people starve to death. They're watching people freeze. You know, my situation. I've I don't want anybody to suffer the loss, and I don't. That's what it's going to come to. This is a horrible, horrible snowball effect, and this is just the tip of it. If it goes to $170 per ton, where exactly do they think all this money is going? They know exactly how much money we all make. We just finished filing our taxes. Where exactly do they think they're going to get this? That you can't squeeze us any tighter. There's literally nothing left. And if we don't have the money to care for our assets, the assets aren't going to be worth anything. And that's
Yeah,
that's
and I
that's
mean
the harsh
it's all by
reality.
design, right? You affect the farmers. You know, we've already seen how many small businesses close over the last number of years. Houses are becoming unaffordable, and you know they're just grinding us at every angle, right? And taking away the power that the individual and the community member have, right? And I mean that's all by design, I would say for sure.
The average age of a farmer here in the valley is 62 years old. There is zero incentive for a young person to feel the pride of being a farmer and a producer. We've had two very large farms right down the road. There were country market food stands, family named, closed up. Like the facilities are actually now apartment buildings because they were forced to take the handouts and the subsidies to convert these places into apartment complexes, and they're no longer producing the valuable necessities of life. And that is if we can succeed with this and really get off our butts, and it's if we all show up, it's going to take a day or two. Like this is it. We make the stand. They realize that they were wrong, and that this last vote, we got to change some of those seats over. And I know that they all have people leaning on them. It's but this is affecting every single one of their households as well. There is no denying that this conversation isn't in every single living room across Canada right now.
Yeah,
And that's where it comes down to, if you can maintain composure and you can be a proud Canadian, we want you to stand beside us. And I'm genuinely honored that there are people that they've already started their own groups. Tomorrow there is the start of demonstrations that aren't related to ours, but
yeah,
they're following the exact same tone. They understand that, I don't even know that if they were organizing before or after. They're in every province already, and they're
yeah.
organizing at so many different places. I can't even keep them straight. So,
Yeah, it's I've seen you know I see your stuff coming out, and we'll get into the plans there shortly about the protest that you're involved with nationwide. But like you say, I've seen things popping up from groups all over the place. I just shared one from Peterborough region. They're starting, I think, stuff as early as tomorrow to get ramped up, and right through the weekend, I've seen all kinds of different groups popping up that are going to go do flag waves over bridges, to do all kinds of different things. Go to MPs' offices. You know, not everyone can get necessarily to a border crossing or one of these locations, but
yep,
everybody can do something in their area, and it seems
that's
like
right.
people are really gearing up to do that.
I have friends on Vancouver Island, and that the picnic table in the backyard had all these banners that the kids have been painting for days, and they're it's they're not political. It's not an axe to tax. It's essentially cries for help, genuine
Yeah,
cries for help, because they're I don't really want to get into it, but it's actually hitting our enlisted members, and that's no joke. Like, I live right here near the CFB Greenwood, and a lot of my customers are, you know, you know, it's back to the days of, like, if I hadn't have been stress tested in Ottawa, I would cry every single day, right? And I would literally break down and weep in front of these people with them telling me their stories. And it's just, they're beside themselves, and they're employed by our government. and it's not acceptable that there is, you know, they're hanging on for this pension because, and they've already dedicated so many years, and the mental health issues, and how it's affecting the families. And anyways, that's a
Yeah. I mean,
you
and
know
we could talk, we could talk literally for a whole day about all the different people and how
yep,
they're being affected. It's absolutely tragic.
the
And
fishermen, the farmers, the
yeah,
truckers, the any industry in Canada, as soon as April 1st comes around,
yeah,
they're gonna have to either lay people off or shorten the runs, like for
yeah,
everybody to say, oh, just get a more efficient vehicle. They don't make them. They're actually
yeah.
getting worse. They're
It's
actually
taken a
getting
long time to optimize these technologies and supply chains and things, and they were fully optimized before people started pressing on the levers and throwing wrenches and additional costs. And every one of this tax affects everything through the chain. So it's affecting the bottom line of the producer, of the distributor, of the salesperson. Oh, sorry, there was someone running around in the background. Yeah, and it's being added over and over. Hey, Sammy, I'm just doing an interview right now, buddy. That's your mama?
That's awesome.
Oh, okay, buddy. Sorry about that.
That's all
We're,
right.
we're live here, folks. Yeah. So it's being, that cost is being incurred by all these different levels, and all the way down, it's being passed on to the end consumer. So
That's right.
it's not like a company can just afford to say, no, I'm going to take this out of my bottom line. I mean, we're already at a point where companies are having a very hard time making ends meet.
And
And
people
you
can't
multiply
afford
this
it
over and over
today.
down the whole chain.
That's
It's
right.
uh, it's terrible. So maybe we can get into a little bit of what you have planned, or what your group is planning.
Well, we came out of the gate with great ideas and ambitions and plans, and our goal is to just express where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia border, and I'm going to be standing up in defense of our country, and ask and demand that they abolish this carbon tax. um, we were trying to establish, to do it lawfully, and we don't want anybody to be harmed, period. We don't want to give the law enforcement any more work than they need. I mean, I this is it. We've reached out. Our agenda is very clear. Our locations are blatantly obvious. There has been our team leads out west have been approached. It's yeah, I think we should be working together a little better on this.
Yeah,
But the truth of it is, the people that are reaching out, supporting our idea, is absolutely astonishing. Like, it is very, very heartwarming to see that, you know, Vancouver Island, Lower Mainland, the all through Lethbridge, Edmonton, there are groups that are going to be congregating and getting together and talking about the why they are there, and they're going to share the concern, and it'll lighten the load on each individual. And if we do it in fine form and we actually get acknowledged by the people who do have the control to change this, it would be quite lovely. And then we can
yeah,
all go home and we can continue to be supportive for our families in our community. And if I hope he doesn't. And really, it was explained to me. They're like, look, dude, unfortunately our prime minister's a narcissist, and you're going to be holding your breath a long time. You might even turn blue. And I understand that the dude's got some problems. I have no idea how he can continuously rob, steal, cheat, and misrepresent us, without any form of acknowledgement, even on his part. Is like, not once has he been like, ooh, yeah,
yeah,
sorry folks, that was actually detrimental to a lot of industries. It's just buttering the conversation with other excuses of, or laying the blame on anybody else. It's yeah, look at that, we're almost 160,000 people now.
yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that
Impressive, eh?
isn't that
And you make an interesting point there. Like okay, so granted, Trudeau is all those things you say. I mean, the other option would be to sit at home and allow this to happen. And to me, that's no option at all, right? We have to do something. And when we do get together and you get out with other Canadians and you talk, um, I don't think it can be understated how much hope that can bring to a person to realize that there's other people out there like them, that you're not the only one going through this, and that there's people that care,
It
and do
brings
want to
hope to
make a
the whole
difference.
household. It brings hope to the whole household, the whole community. Like just what I'm doing here. Like you've been to my house, you've been to my town, you know how tight it is,
Yeah, it
and
was incredible.
I'm not bashful. I'm very proud of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it, and everybody is very responsive. And the truth is, not a lot of them can go, but they're going to send a representative from each family, and that's huge in itself, because those numbers aren't listed on our Facebook page because not a lot of people have it, and we've been canvassing, you know, so Yarmouth is going to have a something, Digby's going to have a something, Wolfville's going to have a something. I'm sure Halifax is going to have a find something, and if people are planning to exercise their right to protest in all these little places, and then there'll be, there might only be a handful of us that actually make it to the border, and that's fine. But I know there'll be people waving their flags, and they will just be sitting there drinking their hot chocolate, having a coffee, just making an honest presence. And then, you know what? That'll let the people know that there's people that are out there and they're standing up right now and they're awaiting an answer. And, I don't want us to have to leave the border without an answer, because if we go home, we're not going to be going to our next spot with any kind of patience. And,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah, yeah. You try to operate in good faith here and do things all the right way, right? And just for clarity, so everyone listening knows, when we're talking about borders, we're talking about provincial borders.
That's right.
And from what I read, I guess most of them would be kind of along the Trans Canada Highway somewhere, I would imagine.
Yep.
Which is a federal highway that goes from coast to coast in Canada.
And the
So
other,
I actually like the idea of that. I was told today even that Wellington Street technically is part of that highway. So as people come into Parliament Hill, we may be in different places all across the country, but we'll be on a road basically that's connected. And it's not always that it's nice when 10,000 people show up to a thing, but it's not. That's not what matters. What matters is that people stand up. And I've also actually seen today where some people are getting ready to try to share and broadcast, kind of do like an overview of the various protests. So that will be really interesting to watch. So somebody has a little production going where we can go from spot to spot and see Canadians from coast to coast in cities across the country, at the borders, in
it
Ottawa.
would
I'll be in Ottawa at the Hill,
it'd
and
be
we can see
awesome to
that there's
spearhead that.
Canadians standing up everywhere.
It would be awesome to see that if we could find somebody that could spearhead just that, like putting us together. Unfortunately, a bunch of the issues we're worried about is what happened to us in Ottawa. There were certain intersections, there were certain times that they would shut us all down, and we had one of our members reach out to Elon and ask for Starlinks, like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
just letting them know that, hey, this is what we're doing, and the 5G, 3G, the ability to, or the stability of it, I'll say, is not the best at sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
for us, is
Elon,
that
we
the
need a
right
solid
way to
internet
put it?
connection, man. Come on, we're fighting tyrants over here. We need an internet connection. No, but that's a good point.
Right.
We need to be able to share the message.
And for our safety, like I'm diligently trying to figure out how I can just get there and set up a live stream, so those that can't join, it's like, hang on, double click, what do we do, what are we doing in Amherst, like what's going on in Lethbridge, what's going on in Toronto, and that, it'll bring us all together. But with how I've been treated over the last week, I don't want to hold any candles to that, because they're I don't know how they have the stomach to try and go against this or try and muzzle this. Or, I mean, I know we're about to take a lot of revenue from them, but it's not their money. It is our money.
That term is so disgusting to begin with. When they say the government needs to generate revenue, that's not what governments do. When they're
No.
saying generate revenue, they mean take our money.
So, I mean, if you want to talk to somebody, you talk to the hierarchies in these banks. They know They know where all the money is, and they know how much is generated every hour, let alone every minute. And they're also generating interest on this, because before it gets shoveled out the next door, they're making their points on it. And this has got, money drives it all. And so we are this is a big thing, and we will, if we don't succeed and find form with this, our country's going to be in some turmoil, and those that chose to be a hindrance to our adventure here, like, they can't say anything after the fact. Like, this is, you either get on or, yeah, 10 billion per year.
Yeah,
10
billion.
billion, folks. Billion.
Yeah.
Like,
We
I don't
have
think
record
many
lines
people
at food
comprehend.
banks. Yeah.
People don't comprehend what a million is, and we're talking about billions. So
Yeah, it's a number that doesn't really register when you think, like, I can put a 10 with 9 zeros after it, but what the heck does that even mean, right? Like, that is crazy. And when you see the amount of suffering going on, and to know that this money is being collected by the government and redistributed it not to help Canadians, it's not helping us. They're actively hurting Canadians, and it's just a travesty.
they're chiseling us away, man.
For sure.
There's people.
And so
There's
as far as the border locations, I'm pretty sure it's tagged in here. If it's not, I'll make sure I add it. But you guys would have a list of the main locations that you're working on?
That's correct. So
Yeah.
nationwide protest against the carbon tax.ca is where you'll find all the information and the links to the Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Rumble account. That's being, the people that are managing that is doing an amazing job. I have no idea where they have the knowledge or the patience for it, but my hat's off to them, because we wouldn't have got anywhere without the organization of them, and the moderators. We're the messages that come in. I'm a moderator on 2 pages, and I excused myself from it because I can't even begin, because the heartfelt messages that you have to wean through, and unfortunately, if it does state anything other than the carbon tax issue, then we don't share it, because we are trying to be very, very specific on our goal of this mission. It is focused 100% on abolishing the carbon tax, and we will stand and we will hold the line as long as it takes, in a peaceful manner. And that is the number one thing. You're not even allowed to show up with a bad attitude, let alone it breaks my heart that we can't bring hockey sticks, and we can't bring flag poles that are a certain length, like the
Yeah. Preaching to the choir there, man. Preaching to the choir. But
You're right. But that's it. If you show up and you are expressing hatred, or you are acting at it, we will assume that you are either Antifa or a plant or something else, and we will. That's why I'm encouraging the law enforcement to be there, because the crowd should bring that person, or direct them, or acknowledge the harm in which that person is doing, and we will expose the issue for exactly what it is. And
so I think you I don't know if we just glossed over. You hit on a really good point, right? I mean, you know about roads. You're in the transportation industry. You're a professional in this field. You know how to do things safely and lawfully. And in fact, it's unfortunate that police haven't reached out to you to try to help facilitate and keep this safe and
how many
effective.
times
I know in my case, Ottawa police reached out to me today. And I won't get into details who I was talking to or whatnot, but we talked about different things, and we're doing ours mainly on the Hill, and we may have a march. But the person I was talking to even said protests are allowed to happen if traffic flow is allowed to get by. Protests in general are meant to cause at least some amount of maybe discomfort's the
recognition?
wrong word, but they need to attract attention, right? So if you
Yep.
do that, that's completely within your right and lawful, and there's a lawful and safe way to do that. And from my discussion, the police, anyways, the officer I was talking to tended to agree and said that that's very much acceptable. It's a shame that police in other jurisdictions aren't reaching out to ensure that that's the case, that our charter protected rights to peacefully assemble and to protest are protected, and that it's done in a safe manner. And that's a situation where the police don't need to take sides of anything, but they
Absolutely.
could, however, come in to facilitate a safe and lawful protest. It would be
Absolutely.
nice if maybe some of them reached out. If anyone's, sure some
Well,
police are
anyways,
watching here.
I'm gonna do my best tomorrow to hopefully I mean I know you got a following and they're that, like I said, the censorship that I'm under and the monitoring, I'm sure I'm hoping somebody shows up at the garage tomorrow like I've been expecting all week, because they've been harassing people across Canada. I shouldn't say harassing, because I've listened to it, and they're it is heartfelt and it is genuine and it sounds professional and it sounds everything that I want. Now, they lost a lot of street credit with what happened in Newfoundland, and the RCMPs that did speak on it, they're like, hey, that wasn't us, man, that wasn't us, and those weren't us, and da-da-da. I'm like, I know, but a lot of people don't know that. They see a uniform and they don't know how to decipher whether it's MP, or whether it's the Parliament Police or OPS or the OPP. Like the fear that they have instilled in people to have when they are approached by somebody with a taser, a gun, a billy club, handcuffs, a uniform, a hat. It's crazy how fearful people are and intimidated just by the presence of an officer.
Yeah.
Now,
particularly given what's happened, some of our histories, I was one that was like that for a long time. Being around police, police triggered me for quite a long time.
For sure.
And it's taken almost 2 years now to, it's been getting better and better with time, and a lot of work to rehumanize these police and develop, treat people like people. Like in anything, there's good and bad in everyone, and there's good and bad in every profession. But I spend a lot of time trying to rehumanize the police and work in good faith. And it would be very nice if we could see some of that going the other way as well.
100%. And the ones I do know personally, like I'm a non-business related, like I'm their mechanic. They trust me. They trust me to go hurtling down the highway as fast as they want with their entire family in the nastiest of weather. And I said to one, I says, hey, if something happens to me, who's going to summarize your boat, man? And his eyes lit up. He's like, oh my God, I got to have my boat for the summer. I'm like, well, then we got to win this, because you won't be able to afford the fuel in the boat. And I'm not going to tell you what I did to winterize it, and just being comical, and the poor yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get in, because it's freaking heartbreaking that the pressure that they're being put in by they've sworn oaths that mean something. And it's at what point do they be like, hey man, like honestly, this helps us just as much as it helps them. And I don't feel like being a hindrance. I feel like being a help. And they can turn the whole dispatchment, and everybody is like, hey, let's go give these guys some hot tips. Like, this is a problem, this is a problem, and this is a problem. Let's chisel through. And let's get this done. And these people are actually worth helping. They're not trying to cause any harm. The hatred and the fear and the harm and what is going on in some parts of our country right now, it's like maybe they want to break from that nonsense and rejuvenate themselves and be like, hey, we did a solid, guys, all the way across Canada. We put the wind back in the sails of our people, and check that one off as a win, and not a political win. Like, that's the other thing. This shouldn't
a win for people, like human win, right? On it, like, and every individual that goes out and has a conversation and spends some time with other Canadians, I honestly, I don't think we can understate how important that is. We experienced that after the couple of years of hell at the convoy, and I mean, I kind of got a little sliver of that when we had the 2-year anniversary this year in Ottawa. It was different. There was a different feel. There was different people. It just felt like we had a little bit of that again. And I would love to see some people get out and just spend time with Canadians. Talk about we need to talk about what we're going through and our suffering. And that's the way that we can connect as people and start to heal a little bit. And if enough of us do that, we can also make a real difference and maybe change things. So I'm looking forward to the first for sure. I'm so happy that you're on board, man. It's been a while.
I'm happy you're
I'd
on
love to
board
see you in
too, buddy.
person, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna be following what you're doing, and if we can try to connect and get some of this and organize to share this out the right way, we're gonna have lots of numbers all over the place, but we
for
could
sure.
share that to a much wider audience and not only coast to coast, but hopefully get this out even to a wider audience to show what Canadians are really made of and what we can do when we do it together with love
100%.
and it should be an amazing time. Um, Maybe we're hitting 40 minutes. Maybe we won't go too much longer there, Sam. I really appreciate you taking a minute to talk. And I mean, you were talking about censorship. We're up, if this is accurate, to 570 people.
Oh my
So
goodness.
so
All right. Yeah,
people
well,
are watching, yeah, and hopefully this message gets out.
my
Um, you
lives,
know,
I'm seeing like 4 and 5 right now. So if that,
yeah.
I did sing "Oh Canada" to everybody on Sunday morning there, and
I saw that, man. Beautiful.
but it's like 126, or it was at
Yeah,
maybe 300 views after. Anyways, but yeah, right quick, man, I
yeah,
just
man.
got to hammer it out. We do have a code of conduct.
Yeah,
We
okay.
do have a mission statement. If you see anybody acting out that is not representing those, they are not affiliated with us. Please show up with your A game. This is Canada. We are proud of our country. We will stand on guard. That is we sang that national anthem every single morning in school. It is in us. You can do it, and you can show up and support this. You don't have to go to an interprovincial border, although that is that's what I'm doing. And as with everybody else that is and the organizers co-organizer nonsense is not. I'm a participant in this, and
Yeah,
I'm just focusing on it because I genuinely want it to work, and I
yeah,
want it to be as I dream it can be, and it should be awesome. And that second year anniversary, it was the first time my daughter came to it, and she speaks of it so often, and just that love and that warmth and it rejuvenates you, and you really want to carry on fighting the good fight,
yeah.
because what's happening around the world right now, I don't ever want to see that in my Canada, and that's on them. So
Yeah, we need to keep
everybody,
yeah. We
you know
still have this beautiful country. We wanted to make sure that we do something about it before we lose too much.
and they
It's
know about it right now. All the MPs, everybody knows about this. This has already been through the legislature. It's already on the talking boards. They know exactly what they want. They know the way to get us to go home.
yeah,
They know who to talk to. They've got my contact information. They can just anytime, any freaking time, call
yeah,
me, and I will do the best I can to relay the message that, hey, we actually don't even have to show up. These guys, you did a great job, and yep, thanks so much for letting us know we were stepping out of line there for a little too long. And our economy before they introduced this was just fine. And if we can put the money right back in the Canadians' pockets, and we can start utilizing it to our benefit and taking care of our community and our climates, that's our responsibility, and we will. We don't need somebody else to be doing it for us.
yeah. And who knows better than what to do and what the needs are than the community, right? Like we're taking these things and putting them up to the highest national level. I mean, what somebody needs on the far east coast or up north is going to be different than what somebody needs on the east coast or in
Absolutely.
Ontario. We need to try to
Absolutely.
get this stuff back down to the money should these things should be handled at the lowest possible level, right? Like you start
100%.
with yourself, then you work, then it's your family, then your community, and you work out from there.
Absolutely.
This idea of trying to nationalize everything, we've seen what happens when people go down that road, and control is focused all the way up to the top, never ends
Right.
well. So
We are their bosses. That is the number one thing, and that has to be hammered through, that they are making these decisions on our behalf, and they are directly harming us. they're not taking into the consideration the realities of society and
And they're outright ignoring the needs and wants of their constituents. I mean, at this point, we know from very even left-leaning pollsters that at least 3/4, something like 2/3 to 3/4 of Canadians are completely against this tax. So you can't
absolutely.
say that you're representing your constituents while doing the opposite and harming them. So
And I have to find a way to feed my animals. I have to find a way to feed my family. I have to feed myself so I can go out there and give everybody the A game. If I can't afford to take care of my family and my community, I can't imagine the stressors of people that don't have the opportunity to provide like this, that are literally reliant. Our senior citizens are being abused by this. You know, on Sunday night we went to the store to buy some stuff that for me to pick up and sell out of the store, and there was a freshly widowed old lady in the front, and she had a jug of milk, she had a thing of water, she had 2 cans of mandarin oranges and some toothpaste, and she had every credit card out, nothing was working. She had a crumpled up $5 bill, and she was being so humble and polite, and I knew exactly what was going on because it happens to me every single day. And they ushered her through. She couldn't even afford the jug of milk with the $5 bill that was she had been stowed up in there. And with my emotions, I went out to the car and I unloaded my stuff, and I turned around and I went back in and I made sure that everything, all the change from the money that I gave the cashier went right back to her, because I wouldn't have been able to sleep just to, you know. And that's what it genuinely takes sometimes. When you see harm like that, you have to go out of your way to make a difference. And I know I did right there. And it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot, but it made the world a difference to her. And the fact that she couldn't afford milk, water, food, and she, you know, the psychosis that we're under is, oh, it'll be all right. Oh, there just must be something wrong here. It's like, no, yeah, there is something wrong. There's no money left in your freaking bank account because somebody's taking it from you. And sorry,
yeah, and that's the thing with these taxes, right? They affect the worst. The people that are in the worst positions are affected the most. Every single thing that they're buying is affected, and when you already barely have enough or not enough to make it from month to month, an increase of 50% on milk, like this isn't like $1 or 2. You know, I bought milk the other day too, $7, $7.
right,
It's
right.
wild, and I mean,
It's
there's places it's even more
It's
expensive, and
absurd. It's
yeah,
absurd because they're not increasing the rate of pay. No,
yeah,
none of these pensions, none of these people that are on assistance, that are on insurance, like these were all calculated pre-COVID or pre-carbon tax. Like people have been on these stable incomes for so long that
yeah.
they were already pinching pennies.
They were
So
never
now
enough to
they're just.
begin with, and yeah, after years of this, it's completely unsustainable.
And we're not
So
talking I'm not talking about the exuberant. Like I grew up north of Toronto, and I grew up, you know, I was in the country. I was the farm kid. There was cornfields surrounding my public school. And then when we moved closer to the city, I got a bitter taste of what real money was and how ignorant it can be. And that's why I hate money. It you know, it really genuinely changes people. And you know, that's the conversation those are the people we got to be talking about right now to get them on board with this, because they don't notice it. They don't genuinely notice the person standing
the,
beside them that has that genuine concern, and that, or the person that's serving them, or anyways.
and you know, it's going to be happening whether you know, and that's the sad reality is that the reason, unfortunately, well, fortunately, unfortunately, that so many people are standing up is because it is now starting to affect so many people. You know, anyone who's got a mortgage coming up for renewal, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be in a very very difficult position when that comes. You know, I've seen people's mortgages double. We've got you know, people are posting their gas bills, and the charge for carbon is higher than the charge for gas. This is pretty much across the country now. We're seeing this. These things are only going to get worse. So
on one of on one of my lives, like I'm an independent fuel distribution center, right? I showed people that it's $1.01 is the cost for the actual fuel. and I have to sell it out of my store. Now I'm a full service, so I give a wash your window and check your tires, and you don't have to get out in the rain. And I put a 3-cent premium on that for myself, and I'm selling today at 187.5. So to think that everything above that, you're talking 80 cents per liter, a liter.
Yeah.
How many liters do people not realize are going up and down the highway right now? It's hundreds of thousands a day, an hour. Like,
Yeah.
it's an absurd thing, and you know, it's fine. We need taxation and we need governance, but we have to bring back the fair. And until we can convince the people to stand together in solidarity and unite passionately and professionally and proud of their country and proud of their families, then they'll just keep railroading us into this absurdity, and we'll have to take it, because with all the rest of the things that they're trying to shovel down our throats to censors, like, soon enough, buddy, you and I wouldn't even be able to have this conversation. We'd be subjected to potential life sentence. What is that?
Yeah. We'll end up in the same gulag, man. So,
I've had
now's the time to act. April 1st is coming up. Check the thing is it's nationwide protest against the carbon tax. It's at the website.
Yes. .ca.
.ca. Okay. So maybe we'll that was a great conversation, man. I'm happy we talked. This
Always,
is
buddy. I miss
so
you.
good to talk to you.
And,
Now is the time to act, man. I'm so happy that you're a voice for this and a
it's
voice
not
of
the
reason.
everything, but it's a great solid start, and it helps everybody, and it helps right away. And the people that'll tell you, well, what about the jobs? And every industry needs employees. You will be rehired, and if you're motivated, like, it's not going to hurt that bad. Like, but we have to.
If we don't get this squared away and figured out, it's going to be all downhill from here.
There's not
If
going
we
to be
can
a
figure this
country
out
left.
and maybe get things back on track, then there's hope and opportunity, and we can go back to the country that we all that we thought we had and that we love.
100%. And
okay,
please,
awesome,
people,
awesome.
keep it
Thank
peaceful,
you so much, Sam.
keep it proud. Love you all.
It's a pleasure talking to you, and let's talk again soon. We'll see if we can't get something planned to share this wider event out to the public. So thank you so much.
Share, and peaceful and proud.
Okay, we'll see everyone on the 1st.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sam.